friends, and welcome back to my channel. Today I decided to treat you to something a little bit different. Many of you don't know that I love scary stories, and I love Halloween, and I love exploring the unknown, which is a really great place to live here in New Mexico because there's a lot of creepy shit that happens. And I've actually had the opportunity to experience some really creepy things. But I'm not going to be talking about those stories today. Instead, I wanted to talk to you about what happened to me back in 2009 in my dorm room, Farrand Hall at CU Boulder. This night was a little bit different because for once my roommate was actually there. She usually spent most of her days bouncing around from friend to boyfriend to friend to whatever, and she, good for her. She never really spent the night in our dorm room. And then I shared the room with two girls, so then the third one, she had just moved out about a month into the start of the school year, moved in with her boyfriend. We rarely ever saw her, but that was the end of the story for her. This night in particular, I recall having a dream where a lion was chasing me down a hill. I wasn't scared, but I do remember being a little bit bored and telling myself to wake up. And so I opened my eyes and I remember sleeping on my stomach with my cheek facing the room. The dorm room was set up with 3 bunk bed type beds. So it was my bed, Kara's bed, and then the other girl's bed. And my bed faced the entire room. So I remember waking up and seeing Kara sleeping on her bed. And then I remember very quickly that I couldn't move, and I said, oh shit, this is another sleep paralysis episode. I used to get those a lot as a kid, and I know that they are pretty common with kids, and then you kind of just outgrow them. Well, to my surprise, this was going to be the scariest one yet. So I closed my eyes again and tried to rewire my brain into fully waking up and not being paralyzed. And I remember going back into my dream, and it's almost as if the lion was just like sitting there, bored as well, thinking, okay, is this done? Can I go now? But I couldn't wake up. And then something horrifying happened. I opened my eyes again, still in the same position, laying on my stomach with my right cheek on the pillow, looking out. I don't remember what my hands were doing, but that's not important. They must have been on the side. I open my eyes and I see from the corner of my left eyeball a figure hovering above my face. This figure, I could tell, was a woman. The figure had long black hair, and I recall seeing a white nightgown top, but that's it. And it came closer to my face, and it just hovered there. I thought I was gonna die. I thought I was gonna have a heart attack. I couldn't move. I was frozen. And I think it lasted probably like 3 seconds, and I closed my eyes again. Back in my dream, back with the lion. Lion was still staring at me. And I said, okay, this time when I open my eyes, whatever the F was there is going to leave. I opened my eyes. This time, I could hear the figure breathing down my neck, my left ear. Her hair was now covering her face. I never saw her face, and it was just hovering right above my face, and I could feel the weight of her body on top of me. My heart was beating so fast, and I remember, even though I couldn't move, I remember just looking around the room, kind of looking past her, and seeing that my roommate Kara was sleeping, moving. She was there. And I remember screaming, except nothing came out because I was paralyzed, duh. But I felt so hopeless and terrified. And so I decided to close my eyes again, got back into the dream, and I told myself, okay, this time I'm gonna count to 3. For whatever reason, why is that? Count to 3 or count to a magical number, all of a sudden like everything is fine. Well, it worked because I counted to 3 and then I woke up and she was gone. And I was able to move, and I was terrified. It took me a good 5 minutes to just get back into a normal state of being, and coming to the terrifying realization that my friend, my roommate Kara, was still in the same sleeping position as she was when that figure was hovering over my face. What do you do in that situation? It took me a bit to fall back asleep, honestly. I didn't want to go back to sleep, but I did, because ultimately my sleepiness just won over. I never told Kara about the situation because honestly I didn't think that she was even gonna believe me, and I really didn't want to relive it. I held on to that experience for a few years until I finally told somebody about it, because we were telling, ghost stories and stories, about things that have happened that are unexplainable. And I remember telling one of my friends who was studying psychology, and something related to the brain and sleep paralysis and kind of like the scientific medical explanation for that. We got on that topic, but she looks me straight in the eyes and she says, Nora, yeah, there's a lot of scientific and medical explanation for a lot of these events, but to tell you the truth, whatever you experienced was not that. That was something else. My skin began to crawl, and I feel like I had goosebumps all over. Because I hadn't thought about that for a very long time. And to retell it and then have somebody even suggest that was truly terrifying. I've told that story a couple of times, and now I'm at the point where I've moved on and past it, but it still fascinates me. And since then, I have had a couple of different experiences, but never one like that, where I could physically feel her, hear her breathing, and just see her hair and see like the ruffles of her nightgown or whatever it was. And part of me is like, Nora, you have a very active imagination, and there is a medical and scientific explanation for that, right? And I researched that phenomenon that happens as well with like the demon or the entity that a lot of people see on top of them when they experience sleep paralysis episodes. And then a small part of me, a very small whisper back of my head, tells me that it was something else. And I don't want to believe it. Or do I? Well, that's my story. I hope you like it. Well, Farrand Hall is very old, and I'm sure there was a lot of oppression and death and negative energy, injustices, racism, weird shit that's happened throughout. And maybe it was something to do with that, or maybe it was something to do with me. I don't know. But I wanted to tell you that story because it is a story that will haunt me forever. And now I hope it haunts you. Just kidding. That's the end. Thank you so much for subscribing. And if you haven't already, please consider it. There will be more stories like these coming soon.